So summing up the reframe, rationality from a self-reg lens is it's not about knowing why we make the choices we make. It is really about wondering why. And so that's Stuart's language directly. And it's understanding. So if you're thinking about that iceberg model of behavior, right? And so Kirsten Wien did a great one for us, looking what's above the surface. So we might think about, why did you vote for Trump, and trying to make sense of why would you choose and stay with it as if it's some kind of a logical argument. It's understanding that when we go into that system one kind of thinking, that automatic stuff, versus that staying and mulling and making an informed choice, listening and really deliberating and considering different options and doing this in open ways, hearing different points of views. All of that is a very blue brain rational thing to do. When it's just an automatic choice, it's something different. We're trying to understand what was beneath it. So that's the limbic system. That's the stressors, right? That's ways to reduce our stress. Walking out of the room instead of doing the ball and bat problem could look like giving up, but it's actually a way. It could be. I mean, it doesn't matter in this case because Marie's sons weren't part of. They didn't need to do this, so it's actually an interesting. But let's say if you did it in a high school class, and somebody decides they're not going to do it, it looks like they're lazy. And it's actually a maladaptive form of self-regulation. They reduced the stress. They eliminated the stress by not doing it. And that was more important than dealing with the stress of you as the educator upset with them for that. So how do we see that differently as a glucose, right? Really interesting. Wondering why we make the choices we make, and that's always an ecological problem. It's always something we look at in context. So a societal goal, and I see self-reg as a real way to the future for equity and well-being, and I do that because it's this framework for looking at being human and understanding ourselves and understanding our relationships and prioritizing our values. And it doesn't have a one set way to get there. It has this incredible group of like-hearted people that want to think about, humanity is interconnected and whole, and the well-being of our children and all these things too. But it's also, from Stuart's lens, and I think this is a neat way of flipping this rationality, is instead of, is flipping to being ruled by reason versus authority. So again, this isn't to say you don't need police officers. Ashley's husband's a police officer, and we adore him, right? There's a place for police officers. But where do we do it so that we need less? And how do we do it so that our citizens, are making the choices they want to make, because they want to be part of and contributing citizens to a world. In a classroom, I used to think of it like this. What I cared about for my students was what they did when I wasn't there, when I turned my back, because to me that told me an awful lot. It wasn't about compliance because they were going to get in trouble. I wanted them to want to comply. Right? And that doesn't mean going easy. Nothing got let go. But by saying that, I mean, there was to be a quiet conversation, a checking in, hey, what's going on there? It's not like you. It was a lot all the time. And I didn't always get it right, but it was always this relationship and the connection. And so we became a family, right? And so we want to be safe. Those of you that live in a small town where you don't have to lock your doors, what contributes to that? It's not the local, somebody coming around and going to do something if someone breaks in. There's something about that community. So it's that sort of idea as a societal, and staying in the blue brain balance. Staying in blue brain is part of that, right? So it's the 5 steps for me anyway, right? So it's calmly, constantly, confidently, and remembering that, if you don't, you have an automatic reaction. I had the road rage thing, or I had the rage thing yesterday. I saw someone else posted they had road rage, incident. We're going to have these moments. You're going to always have them. Why and why now? How can I think about this differently? How can I learn? And you will find, the people in your lives will find, the people in your sphere of influence, it will be slowly this slow shifts. Does that mean that just because you come at it from this lens, everybody else in the world's going to change? No, but at least you're going to reduce your stress, around it. And the ripple effects do come, and they come at different speeds with different groups and different settings. But beginning to think about rationality as part of this.